Okay, my lovey loos. We are on chapter 12 of Bob. Okay, so when we left off, Sarah had mentioned, hey, whatever happened to your invisible friend Bob? And then we found out that Sarah had an invisible friend, Philippa. And then Sarah brought up that Livy had buried a time capsule, but she didn't know where Livy had buried it. And she said, hey, you should ask your invisible friend where that was. And then she laughed. Chapter 12, Bob. Livy laughs too, but only for a second. Then she asks, all casual like, is Philippa still around? My little green heart is beating so fast. At least I think my heart is green. Am I an invisible friend? Is that what I am? No superpowers or magic? Is that why Livy's mom couldn't see me? And perhaps most importantly, is there someone else like me? I hold my breath until Sarah answers. Not anymore, of course. Instead of being disappointed, my heart quickens even more. Does that mean Sarah's invisible friend found her way home? Maybe Sarah knows how to get me home, too. Ask her, I want to shout to Livy. Ask her how she got Philippa home. Oh, Livy says quickly. I mean, duh, of course. She grabs a cookie from the plate. I can tell she's not going to let this drop. Still making it sound like no big deal, she asks. So, what kinds of things did you guys do together? Philippa, I mean. Sarah reaches for another cookie, too. At the rate they are chomping through these cookies, the hope of any being left over for me is shrinking fast. I'm amazed that I can still think of snacks at an important moment like this, but there you have it. Well, one time you came over and we all had a tea party. Livy stops chewing. I brought my invisible friend over to your house for a tea party? Sarah shakes her head. No, it was only the three of us. You said yours wouldn't want to get dressed up and pretend to drink from little cups. I have to smile. Livy always looked out for me. Though I bet he'd look pretty cute in a tutu, Livy says rather loudly. Clearly she knows I'm eavesdropping. If you say so, Sarah says, then adds, I haven't thought about Philippa in years. What happened to her, at the end, I mean? I know Livy's face so well that even though her back is to me, I know she's holding her breath right now. This is it. This is when I find out how I'll get home. I press my eye right up to the crack and I hold my breath too. Sarah shrugs. I got bored of pretending to see her, I guess. Oh, Livy says. It's a sad oh. Sarah's invisible friend wasn't real. Not in the same way I'm real. I feel foolish and slump down to the floor. Unfortunately, I land squarely on the mast, that's the pole, of the pirate ship, and then jump back up with Legos sticking where Legos shouldn't stick. I must have made a noise because both girls turned to face the closet. Livy jumps up. Thanks for coming today. It was fun. I'm still kind of jet lagged though, so I think I'm gonna take a nap. Okay, Sarah says, standing up from the rug. Livy looks all around the room and then grabs one of those creepy dolls. Do you want to borrow Abigail? I'm sure my mom won't mind. No thanks, Sarah says. And I think she's finally going to leave because one hand is on the doorknob. But then she says, do you want to hang out later? I can't, Livy says. I'm making a cake with my grandmother now that the baby is out of the house. Then they leave to walk downstairs, and I come out of my closet and sit on the edge of the bed. Only crumbs are left on the cookie tray. Why am I not surprised? Livy comes back in and closes the door and flops on the bed. I think you need a larger chicken suit. That one's like 5 times too small for you now. Before I can argue that no one taught me proper laundry techniques, she reaches under the pillow and pulls out a cookie. Saved you one. I lean past the cookie and reach around and hug her bony shoulders. You smell clean, but what was that for? She asks when I finally let go. For the cookie. For not making me go to a tea party. For tape recording stories for me to listen to, even though I never got them. Guess you saw the dancing, she says. You've got some good moves, girl. She smiles. I do, don't I? You don't need to feel bad about leaving me in the closet, I blurt out, then take a bite of the cookie. I chomp and talk and crumbs fly out as I try to explain how I was never alone because I had my imagination to keep me company. Man, this cookie tastes good. When I finally run out of words, she says, didn't anyone tell you not to talk with your mouth full? All I heard between crunches was something about you exploring your inner Bob. I swallow my last bite. That's pretty much the gist of it. You have a Lego stuck to your leg, she says, reaching over to pluck it off. You really didn't get tired of building the same Lego ship over and over? I smile. In between, I'd make whatever word I was reading in the dictionary. The aardvark was my first. I was particularly proud of that one. She tilts her head at me. How many different objects can you make from one pirate ship? Exactly 3009, so far. She nods, clearly impressed. It is impressive. So it was a ship, but also all those other things? Yes. She tosses the Lego piece back into the closet and grabs her shoes. Where are you going? I ask. We are going to search the farm for that time castle. For that time capsule Sarah talked about. One thing can be lots of other things, right? So a time capsule can also be a clue. Who knows what I put in there? It could take a while to find it, so bring a flashlight. My spirits rise and rise. We're going on an adventure. We don't need to bring one, I tell her with a grin. Why not? Because I know exactly where you buried it. Bob knows where she buried the time capsule. Okay, so wait. So we learned a lot more. Also, I definitely have ideas for more character traits for Bob. First of all, I don't know if we've said this before, but he's definitely imaginative. Like, it takes someone with a great imagination to come up with things to do when you have no one to play with and nothing to do. Like, to go through the dictionary and learn new words. And then also to have the same Lego pieces and then to decide, well, now I'm going to use those same Lego pieces and build what I read about in the dictionary. That's imaginative. So that's another word I wanted to add to character traits about Bob. He's also appreciative. He appreciates the things that Livy has done for him in the past and the present. He's also forgiving. He could have been so mad and stayed mad at Livy for having left him. Actually, I want to say two things. He's like mature and forgiving. Like he notices the fact that she's 5 years older and a 5-year-old isn't as responsible as a 10-year-old. But then he also knows that she didn't mean to leave him and she tried to stay. So he's mature that he knows that and isn't holding a grudge. And then he forgives her and he tells her that. So he's like very in touch with his inner Bob and he's very in touch with his feelings too. Okay, so we're going to move on to chapter 13, Livy. I distract Gran by asking for a snack while Bob slips out the back door. We're supposed to meet under the furthest tree in the yard, near our Sylvester rock. I find him relaxing against the tree trunk with his eyes closed and his legs straight out in front of him. You look happy, I tell him. I hand him half a slice of banana bread and kneel beside the rock to get to work, feeling around its edges. It's a big rock. How are we going to get under this thing? How could I have hidden something under it when I was 5? How could they have lifted the rock? Some text evidence should be popping into your head right now. Turn to an inanimate object and tell them. I am happy, Bob says cheerfully. We're together, aren't we? We're outside, and we're looking for clues. We're going to find my mother, like you said, my large family, so I won't be lonely when you leave again. He smiles into the sun. Plus, I have banana bread. It's like a banana with bread. I glance at him as I try to scrape the dirt out from under one side of the rock. It gets under my nails and up my nose. Don't get your hopes up, okay, Bob? He blinks at me. Why not? Old Livy never told me not to get my hopes up. I'm just being careful of your feelings, okay? We don't know for sure that we'll find anything here. Okay, here's a picture. So you see Livy kneeling and Bob standing by the tree, and there's the big Sylvester rock, and then there's Gran's house. And you see not a lot of leaves on the trees because of the drought. Oh, we will, Bob says. We will find whatever the old Livy hid underneath the Sylvester rock. For me, her invisible friend. Bob is 100% sure that the old Livy hid the invisible friend time capsule under the Sylvester rock. He says that for the last 2 days she was at Gran's, old Livy got a certain look on her face whenever we got near this rock. That's how you know? I asked him. My expression 5 years ago? Bob nodded. Oh, yes. Whenever we came close to this rock, old Livy's face said, I've got a secret. It was loud and clear. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's worth a try. We have to start looking somewhere. And I have to admit that Bob is pretty good at reading faces, especially mine. So I'm scratching the hard packed dirt away from the sides of the rock, trying to find any gaps where I might have hidden something. Now I'm pretty much coated in dirt dust. I sneeze. I look over at Bob. His eyes are closed. Hey, why are you just sitting there? I'm not just sitting here. I'm feeling the sun on my face. And also, I'm being careful of you. I sit back on my heels and try to slap some of the dirt off my hands. It makes a big dust cloud that makes me sneeze again. Careful of me? What are you talking about? He gets a patient look on his face. I'm pretty good at reading Bob's face, too, I realize. I'm being careful of your fingers, Livy. You are playing very near the rock, and I don't want to drop it on you when I pick it up. He smiles and closes his eyes again. Just tell me when you're done playing in the dirt. I'm not in a hurry. I'm just enjoying the outdoors. I stand up. Bob, I'm not playing, I'm working. And we can't pick up this rock. This rock is huge. First, we're going to dig out some of the dirt underneath. Then we'll both get on one side and we'll try and tilt. I stop talking. Bob has picked up the rock and is holding it over his head. Where should I put it? He asks. If you're done playing? Speechless, I point to the tree he was leaning against, and he carefully props the rock against the tree trunk. Bob, I say, you're strong. He nods. Yes. How did you... Look! Because there is something lying in a little dugout place in the dirt, almost exactly where I had just been digging. There must have been a little hollow spot under one edge of the rock, but 5 years later, it's packed hard with dirt. You were right, Bob. I brush the dirt off the top of whatever it is and pick it up. It's a glass jar sealed with a metal lid. Bob doesn't even look surprised. He just gently puts the Sylvester rock back into place as casually as Superman would. I try the lid, but it won't turn. Bob takes the jar from me but says, let's open it at Gran's after you wash your hands. This is old Livy's treasure, and I don't want to get it dirty. Bob does his best chicken walk all the way back to the house. It doesn't seem to matter, the chickens can't really hold things. And that's the end of chapter 13. So, see you when I see ya. Mrs. Richmond, signing off.